Buddy, welcome back to Brit and Jacob Go to the Movies. We're doing things a little differently this week. We're doing a double feature, you could say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because we were going to do this last week. I bet you're wondering, guys, where were you last week? Well, I went to the lake, and I said to Jacob, I'm like, well, we're going to probably do this a little later than usual. So he's like, all right. Well, then Jacob got sick.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. yeah, shit luck on our end. But we're back here today. We're going to be doing this double feature thing, which, oh boy. This should be fun. Should be fun. We're going to be talking about Scream.
Awesome.
We're going to be talking about Scream, one of my favorite slashers of all time. Jacob, as you know, or I think I've told you this somewhere around the line, but I don't really like slashers all that much.
I'm not a big fan either.
There are the good ones. I like the first Nightmare on Elm Street, which was made by the guy who made this, Wes Craven. I like the first Halloween. I think the Friday the 13th movies are a bit goofy, but, you know, they have their charm, I guess.
Jason Lives is my guilty pleasure.
Wait, what is?
Jason Lives.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. My guilty pleasure slasher is, Halloween H20, or it's the one where they go, I think it's Halloween Resurrection. It's the one where they're in that house and Michael catches up and Busta Rhymes kicks him out the window.
Oh yeah, that's Resurrection.
Fucking hilarious. I love it. We gotta talk about that someday.
Oh, I can't wait. Sorry to Carlton if he ever watches this, because he loves slashers.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know Carlton might shoot me, because our unofficial third member is a big slasher fan. Oh yeah, also the Child Play movies are very fun. I enjoy all of those.
Oh yeah, those two, yeah.
Even the one with Mark Hamill as Chucky is a lot of fun too.
Oh yeah, that one's pretty good, yeah.
But Scream is a lot different from other slashers because it pokes fun at slashers while also being a slasher movie through and through, all the way through. Now, is the self-aware humor a bit obnoxious at times? A little bit, but yeah, it's not quite as bad as some of the other movies where they're like, fuck it, we're just gonna throw as many references as possible in there. And you're just like, oh my god.
Let's throw them all in there.
Not looking at you, Scream 3. Ugh. Did you see the recent one?
I did.
I managed to catch it a little late. It's not bad. It was actually not bad.
It's actually a really good sequel. It was actually a really solid sequel. I was actually surprised by it, but they should have just called it Scream 5.
Yeah, no. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, no. It's just like, every time I was looking this up and it kept pulling up the new one, I'm just like, fuck, why?
I saw it. It's actually a really good sequel.
No, I mean, it was actually a lot better than I thought it would be, but, yeah, that was a bit annoying, though, kind of trying to scrounge this one out. Excuse me. But directed by Wes Craven, who was known for the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. First one's really good, and then the rest of them just got as hammy as possible. Again, sorry, Carlton. Though, I do have a unironic respect for the first one. I do think it is a very well done horror movie. And it's even referenced a couple times in this, in a lot of really fun ways, so.
Yeah, Wes Craven directed, so suitable
enough. Yeah. Also, Drew Barrymore's in this. Like,
she is.
Like, back in her heyday, in, like, the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Before she went into, I don't know, whatever it is, Drew Barrymore does these days. You know, it's funny, this is one of those movies I watched when I was a kid that I probably shouldn't have. I don't know what you think, Jacob. I'll let you take it first. What do you think of Scream, the first one?
I've watched a lot of movies that I shouldn't have watched when I was a kid, like Kick-Ass, for example. And I thought it would just be a superhero movie. But my mom told me it's like it's pretty raunchy, it's pretty crude. But I'm like, hey, it's superhero, so whatever. Then I hear the word condom, and I'm like, what does that mean? Then I get older, I'm like, got it. But when I watched Scream, I thought it was just a really fun slasher movie. But since I've gotten older, come to appreciate it a lot more because it's a lot different from other slasher movies because it successfully parodies the tropes of slasher movies while simultaneously making one of the better slasher movies in its own right. Certainly a treat for horror fans, and it is a classic. One of the very few slasher movies that I actually think it's great.
Oh yeah.
I'm like Britton. I'm not a big slasher fan, unless there are some really good ones.
I'm more of like a monster movie guy. I like more psychological horror. You know.
Yeah, that's more of my taste too.
Yeah, like, Mike Flanagan. I actually started watching Midnight Club last night for my job, and what can I say? Mike Flanagan and crew have done it yet again. Great show so far. I'm really enjoying it. I now need to watch the rest of the shows that he's made on Netflix.
Mike Flanagan needs more appreciation. He's one of the better horror directors in my opinion.
God, he's so good. This is more atmospheric than horror movies that I've seen in the past, 10 years. I'm not even kidding.
Hush, Gerald's Game, and Dr. Sleep.
Oh my gosh. The atmosphere in those movies are insane.
Oh yeah, they're magnificent.
I still need to catch Oculus.
I still need to see Oculus.
Yeah, me too. That's one. I'm gonna get roasted for not seeing it, but sorry, I didn't catch that one.
He's a director who I would actually like to see direct a slasher movie.
It's funny. This Scream was originally gonna get called Scary Movie, and if you've seen the Scary Movie films, right?
Yeah, those are also some of my guilty pleasures.
Oh my gosh, childhood all over again.
Films I shouldn't have watched when I was a kid, but I did.
Yeah, my buddy Zach, who got me into a shout out to my friend Zach, but I'll save that for the Scary Movie episodes. Gee. But no, it's funny because I always think of that and the Hishy parody of this film. Have you seen the Hishy video of this movie?
Oh god.
Oh my god. I always think of those. I'll be watching it and I'll be like, oh jeez, just like that scene.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Which, by the way, in case you were curious, we will be referencing those, or I will at least be referencing those in this video.
So get ready, people.
But this is a really well-made movie. The in-jokes aside, this is a really well-done movie.
Indeed. It is Wes Craven. Rest in peace.
Yeah, indeed. It's really sad that he ended up dying. A lot of people have died this year, man. But anyway, I'll get to that when we're done talking about this movie. But yeah, I really enjoy Scream. I love it. I actually was thinking about getting Carlton on here, but he was like, nah, I'd rather talk about Halloween or, Nightmare on Elm Street if you're gonna, get me on for a slasher. So I'm like, fine. So I'm like, alright, fine. A lot of people in this that would become stars? Kinda? Matthew Lillard's in this. I love him in this, but again, I want to wait till we get to his part in the movie.
Yeah. Because
I want to talk about him, but I'll wait. But yeah, a lot of people are in this. Neve Campbell, who did this in Wild Things. Have you ever seen that movie?
I have.
Oh my god. That's like the 50 Shades back in the 90s. It's good.
God.
It's good stuff. Except they kind of run with the camp. We got David Arquette in it. Courteney Cox off of Friends. Matthew Lillard, aka Shaggy, is in this. I discovered him as many people of my age probably did. As him being Shaggy. And the best Shaggy since Casey Kasem. I don't apologize for that.
It's a fact.
It's just a fact. The dude just is Shaggy.
Literally is.
Rose McGowan is in it. Won't say too much on that. Skeet Ulrich, or as I like to say, discount store Johnny Depp in this movie. Jamie Kennedy and Drew Barrymore are in this movie. Jamie Kennedy before he was in that abomination that was Son of the Mask.
Oh, God.
You know, a lot of people in this movie have been in really terrible films after this one.
Yeah, they have.
Oh my god. But yeah, I really enjoy Scream. It's a lot of fun, and it's one you can watch over and over again and have a good time.
It really is.
It's
one of the very few slash movies that I'd say it's great.
Oh yeah, it's up there with like Halloween, and the first Nightmare on Elm Street is like one of the best slashers I've ever seen.
Oh, couldn't agree more. It's very different from other slasher movies. It's unique.
Yeah, it's a bit like it's corny, but it kind of runs with it.
Yeah, it's self-aware.
Like it takes the genre cliches of slashers that I kind of roll my eyes at, and kind of plays with it in like a really fun way.
And that's where Wes Craven understood it.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I think it was a good choice for Wes Craven to be a part of this movie, because you know he cut his teeth making movies like this, so seems only fitting that he'd make a movie like this.
Indeed.
And the other 4 movies got a little hammier after this one, but I still hold the first Scream as a legitimately very good movie.
Oh, me too.
Like 2, 3, and 4 kind of and the 5th one I was like, all right, this was actually pretty good. But this one's the best.
Yeah, the first one's the best. I actually really like 2. Scream 3 is easily the worst out of the 5.
Oh, God.
4 I actually think is one of the better.
I hate 3. Fucking hate 3.
Yeah, 3 sucks.
Oh.
4, though, actually quite surprising when I first saw it. One of the better sequels, especially the 4th one, wasn't the worst. And then 5th was really good, too. But yeah, the first one, still the best.
Well, no, 4 is not the worst one, because the worst one is 3. Ooh.
Yeah, it's a fact. Fucking
hate that movie. Anyway, we're talking about the good one today. Not really much else. Jacob, you have any more blurb thoughts before we cut into this steak?
All I have to say is that Scream is a slasher classic.
Took the words right out of my mouth, man. I can't really argue with that. Though I will mention real quick, I don't know why on the poster, I don't know why Skeet Ulrich has a goatee, and in the movie he does not have a goatee at all.
Yeah, what's up with that? He decided, like, nah, I don't want a goatee.
He's just like, I shaved it at the last minute, and they're just like, fine, just fine.
What?
Or maybe they just got him in and he just grew a goatee, and they're like, what? Ugh, you know.
He refused to shave it off. And he's like, fine, we'll put it on the poster. People will question it, but who cares?
So, okay, let's get into this. So, we begin after a smack of the scream with the scream of some lady. We meet with the iconic opening scene of the movie, or opening... would you call it an opening scene or an opening sequence? I think you can get away with calling it.
I say it's a sequence.
Yeah, I think it probably makes more sense as a sequence. We meet Casey Becker, played by Drew Barrymore. Oh, hello there.
Yeah, hi.
And this was like back in Drew Barrymore's heyday. She was making a bunch of movies, and she made like Never Been Kissed. My mom loves that movie. I wonder why. But in this one, she gets called by a mysterious caller who's played by Mr. Sexy Voice himself, Roger L. Jackson.
Yeah.
well, him and Keith David and some other people. or King of Sexy Voice. And he's basically like, and if I remember, I don't think he actually said like, what's your favorite scary movie? Or no. Or no, he asks her what she's doing. And it starts out innocent enough. He calls her, he's like, oh, hey, what's up? And they're like talking for a bit, and he's being super friendly, which that should be a alarm.
Yeah, you're too friendly. That's not suspicious.
But then he calls back. He's like, "Oh, I just wanted to see who I'm talking to," and he's all like, "Oh, just what are you doing?" She's like, "What are you doing?" She's all like, "Oh, boy, I'm about to watch a movie." She's like, "Oh yeah, what type of movie?" "A scary movie." And they're talking, and there's a little bit. She says, "Well, I like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. The first couple are good, and the rest suck." Which is a funny little dig because the guy who made this movie made that one.
See what you did there, Wes Craven.
But yeah, I really like I don't really want to go scene by scene, but I really love the bait and switch of the sequence. What do you think of it, Jacob?
I love it because it basically tells you what this killer does. Like, he calls you, asks you what your favorite scary movie is, then he'll say something that to let you know that he's about to kill you. So it's very refreshing to the slasher genre, just from this opening scene alone. One of the most iconic openings ever, so I love it.
Yeah, I remember this actually creeped me out when I was a kid, especially when her parents find her body. Like, that is a freaking haunting shot. Oh my god.
Oh god, so scary.
Yeah, I know. It just like imprints into your soul, and it gives you like a scar, and you don't really know where to find it. And
even though this film is very tongue-in-cheek, it's still really scary, actually.
Yeah, it's a very creepy movie. I'll put it that way. And
yes, creepy.
And I do like the struggle. She isn't just fucking going, save me, she's trying to get away. It gets sinister really fast because he goes I want to know who I'm looking at, and then he tries to play it off. He's like, oh, I just want to know who I'm talking to. I'm like,
You're
yeah.
Oh, this is where shit gets real. Fine.
And then she's all like, your boyfriend. She's like, my boyfriend's gonna come over and kick your ass, and they're like, I thought you said you didn't have a boyfriend. He's like, fuck me. Turns out her boyfriend's outside, and he just gets gutted, and it's really damn. It's it goes from 0 to 100 pretty quickly.
Really quick.
And, oh, hello, kitty. But I love this sequence. It sets the tone quite nicely, and it's also a nice little in-joke to Psycho, because very similarly, Psycho really put up, Janet Leigh, who, fun fact, is actually Jamie Lee Curtis's mother. She was supposed to be the main star of the movie, and then Norman, the whole scene where he stabs her in the shower. Well, in this one, apparently they were really trying to... Apparently Drew Barrymore was going to be the star in this, but then she's like, you know what? I want to get killed first, because I think that would be fun. I think it'd be a fun way to play with the audience's expectations. And, I respect her for doing that. I'm just going to put that out there.
Me too. It was actually the first movie that actually kept that trope going. Hey, we'll have one of these big stars. We'll put them on a poster and act like they're a main part of the movie, but then they die.
They die 5 minutes in.
Yeah. People.
Yeah, I mean, there's a funny thing because the reveal later, but because I got really, I guess I'm just weird like this, but I was curious on who killed who. Maybe I'll cut to that later, but I actually saw a video about basically explaining how it all happened, or how someone thought. I think it's by a guy called, I'll have to look it up. I forgot the guy's name, but I will link the videos below if anyone wants to see it. He also did a video about who kills who, and it's a lot of fun. That sounds bad, but you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
I also love how he throws the trick question about Friday the 13th. Which, by the way, again, Carlton, don't shoot me, but Friday the 13th, not a great movie.
It's not.
It's really not. It's like a more low-budget ripoff of Halloween.
It really is.
It just looks cheap. I mean, there is the really goofy scene where Kevin Bacon gets the arrow stuck in his throat, but aside from that, like, it's pretty fucking stupid.
Not that good.
I think it got better because they realized how hammy it looked, and they just kind of ran with it. I do think it got better in that regard, but that first one is just, it looks cheap.
Hey, we got Jason Lives, which is my favorite.
Oh my god.
So goofy.
Have you seen Jason X?
Oh god.
We'll be talking about a lot of slashers on here today.
Yes.
So, Steve gets murdered. Casey attempts to escape. Then she gets stabbed, which is, humorous. This also makes me think of Scary Movie when the Ghostface parody stabs the chick in the breast and pulls out her thing, and he's all like, "What the fuck?" And then he just he's like poking at it, and he's like, "Ooh." He's like running after it. Oh Jesus.
Can't wait to talk about that one.
Oh. Oh man, I love that. I love the first Scary Movie.
It's so good. I can't wait to talk about it.
It's dumb, but it's really fun, and I really enjoy it.
I don't care what anybody says.
So she gets the Friday the 13th wrong. She goes outside. She tries to stab. She pulls off the mask of one of them, but they don't show it because that would be kind of lame to reveal it pretty early on.
Yeah.
Then the guy kills her, excuse me, and sticks her up on the tree, which is, again, a really just fucking horrifying scene.
Extremely. Like,
I know, when her mom sees it and just screams, and it just pans up to her body, you're just like, ooh, like, that freaked me out when I was a kid.
Yeah, kind of a jump scare. Just pans up to her immediately.
Oh
god.
Oh yeah, Jacob. Have you ever seen the bunnies, like the 30-second bunny videos?
Yeah.
Have you seen those?
Yeah, I have.
I watched those a lot when I was a kid, so I also think of that as well when I think of this movie. I'm thinking of a lot of things when mentioning this.
I can see why.
I don't know. Scream is one of those movies that seems ripe for parody, so, even though it parodies itself, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
So, after that, we get a introduction to the cast. We meet a bunch of other people. We meet Stu and Billy. Hold on. I think this is where we meet Sydney, played by Neve Campbell, who's actually pretty good in this movie.
She is.
And, I'm kind of sad she didn't get any more, big movies after this, because she's not terrible at all.
No, she's a good actor.
And, she's just chilling, and then her dad comes in, and they're talking, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go on a business trip," which, by the way, obviously not a red herring, for later on.
No.
Not at all. Anyway, so, hello, Kitty, just gonna sit there? Just sitting there? Alright. So Sydney talks to her dad, gets some stuff out of the way. We end up learning that her mom got R-worded, because, we are not a sponsored show or anything, but I'm not going to say that word, because I don't want to get thrown off the internet. And murdered. I can say that, not the other word.
Yeah.
Welcome to America, I guess.
Yeah.
She thinks they caught the guy, a guy called Cotton Weary, played by Liev Schreiber. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Sounds about right.
Liev Schreiber? I'm sorry if I got your name wrong. He's been in a bunch of other stuff. He was Sabretooth in X-Men Origins Wolverine, one of the only really good parts in that movie. He's also in Spotlight from a few years ago, which was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of fun would be a bad way to describe that movie. It's about a really dark subject matter. That was a great movie. I'll put it that way.
It was.
We also end up meeting a news reporter named Gail Weathers, who, you know, I'm a journalism major myself, and God, I hate this woman at first. She turns out to be a good lady, but she is just the most obnoxious faux TMZ that makes the rest of us journalists look bad by comparison. And she's just really annoying, just goes out of her way to, you know, harass people. She harasses Sydney later, and I love how Sydney just fucking socks her in the face.
So satisfying.
She personally does not think that Cotton Weary committed the murder of Maureen, because something just doesn't add up. Sydney, understandably, can't stand this woman. Yeah. Then we also end up meeting her boyfriend, Billy Loomis, played by Skeet Ulrich, or as I like to call him, not Johnny Depp, because he looks freakishly like Johnny Depp in this movie.
Oh God, he does.
The resemblance is uncanny. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, just throw some glasses on him, some tattoos, and he's Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I know. It's he looks like Johnny Depp back from his 80s and 90s heyday, which I bet to you was intentional because Johnny Depp's breakout role was in Nightmare on Elm Street.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was intentional.
I wouldn't be either, but every time I see him, I'm just like, oh Lord, he's pulling off the 80s Johnny Depp look.
Oh hey, Johnny Depp. I mean, Skeet Ulrich.
Yeah, I know. It's like, have you ever seen Crybaby with Johnny Depp in it?
Yeah, I did.
Oh my God, he looks just like him. It's hilarious.
Exactly like him.
It's so funny. You're just like, he's not bad, but it's hard not to get that out of your head when you're watching this. And we may rib him for the Johnny Depp look-alike, but he's also very good in this movie.
He is.
You know, he seems like your normal teenager. He's wanting to get up with Sydney, and Sydney's all like, nah, not right now. Because, you know, she doesn't feel like it, I guess. I don't think she's, religious or anything. She's just kind of like, eh.
Not right now.
Which reminds me of the Hishy, where he's like, Sid, I know you're, going through a lot right now, but why won't you do it with me? And she's all like, because I don't just, put out. I'm not a skank who just puts out, you know? And she's all like, and then he goes, oh, so you're not like your mom? And she's like, what? He's like, oh, nothing. Stabby stab. I always think of that when I see this. This is like, I love Hishy. Those guys just,
You can't beat them.
I know. Spider-Man 3 is probably my favorite of theirs, but their
still
Scream.
my favorite. It's the first one I saw from them.
Their Scream one is a lot of fun. I also really like their Social Network one. So yeah, we meet Billy. We end up meeting Gail Weathers, who's harassing her, and then we end up meeting the whole gang at school the next day. It turns out that not only was Casey Becker a acquaintance of our friend Sydney, but she actually sat next to her in her classroom during English, so that's always awkward.
Oh, yeah.
So then we end up meeting the cast. We end up meeting Tatum, played by Rose McGowan. We meet Billy again. We meet Randy, played by Jamie Kennedy, in probably his best role of the movie. And we meet my favorite part of this damn movie, Stu, played by Shaggy himself, Matthew Lillard, in his breakout role, I might add.
Yeah.
I love him in this. I just have to say, I love him. I love him in this.
He's the best part of this movie.
He is the freaking best part of this movie. I love this. I love him. He is so manic and just having a good time, man. He's just like, I bet Wes Craven was just like, hey man, just fucking go off. And he's like, got it. And he just gave this off. I love it.
It's like, I'm gonna have fun with it.
And it's so good. I love him in that. What do you think about Matthew Lillard in this movie?
Matthew Lillard, every movie I've seen him in, he just steals it. Like, he is the best part of any movie that he's in. Like, Scooby-Doo, easily the best part of the movie because he is Shaggy. And in Scream, easily the best part of the movie because you can clearly tell that he was having a blast playing this. He's just chewing this scenery every chance he gets.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite... Oh, sorry.
And I respect that.
I mean, one of my favorite bits of this movie is how... a lot of my favorite part of this movie is the rewatch value, because you watch it at first and you're like, oh, okay, it seems kind of good, but then you realize when you watch it again and you see some of the interactions between everybody, you realize, that's interesting. Like with Billy and Stu's interactions.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's all like, oh yeah, she got gutted. It was like this thing, and Billy just like looks at him like, yo man, that's not cool. And you think, oh wow, he's actually being pretty nice at first, and then later on, you know, if you know, you know. I don't want to spoil it just yet. Oh, what else? Oh, another fun little fun tidbit of horror trivia for you. There's another reporter lady, which, by the way, the reporters in this town are the worst.
They are the worst.
They're terrible. They're just harassing this poor girl, and she's just like, oh, Jesus, I'm just trying to having a normal day. Can you not harass me about my mother's murder? Can you at least do that? But I guess that's just too much to ask.
Yeah.
But one of the reporters, played by Linda Blair. Now you might be wondering who's Linda Blair. She played the little girl in The Exorcist.
That's her.
Mm-hmm. And you might think, oh, wow, I didn't even notice that. And it's because, well, she got older. She's actually aged pretty well, though.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. So, I think we also get the scene of when Sydney gets chased around by Ghostface, which, by the way, I don't think is the actual killer. I think it's just some idiot running around the costume.
Oh yeah, I think so.
It's pretty clear because he didn't like try to kill her or anything. He's just freaking her out or whatnot. And or maybe that's later on. I don't remember actually. No, wait, no, I think that's later on. But yeah, I like the interaction. Everything comes together. My favorite character, aside from Stu, is probably Randy. Because he's probably the most like me. Except he's a lot more abrasive than I am. It's probably Jamie Kennedy in his like most likable role, because in every other role he's playing like a dick.
Yeah, where it makes you want to fucking strangle him. But that's what now.
And in Son of the Mask, which is a cursed object and should not be touched at any point.
Yeah, we don't discuss that here.
We don't talk about that here.
Jeez.
Don't say anything else about it, Jacob. It's funnier
no,
that way.
Britton. You too, Britton. Don't say anything else about that fucking movie.
No, but he's just. I love how he hates Billy. He's just like he suspects him. He's just like this freaking dude is just. I love how he's always like fucking insulting Billy. He just fucking hates him. Mostly it's because he likes Sydney, and I'm just like, aw, like that's really sad.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, but like, damn, like, but you're being too mean, like, God.
No, I mean, I think it's just hilarious in hindsight, but you know, again, I don't want to get ahead of myself. So, Sydney decides she's gonna go stay at her friend Tatum's house, and there's some like really hilarious. I don't know if this was meant to be funny, but just when you see Ghostface just like sneaking around in like the forest, when he's sneaking around at like the like convenience store, it's like it's like, oh my god, why? What is this? Oh,
okay.
It's so. What? I don't know what that is, but
I don't either.
I don't know. I don't know what that was, but it's fucking hilarious. I know it's meant to be like, oh, there he is, but I don't know if that's even Ghostface. It just sounds stupid. That would be a dumb thing to do.
Very.
Sydney ends up hanging out with Tatum, and they're talking about how messed up it is. Everyone keeps harassing her, and then she's watching TV. Then she goes to sleep, and then she's waking up. She's awoke by a mysterious phone call. Yeah, you know where this is going. It turns out it's that same guy who called Casey earlier. And, he's kind of doing his old song and dance. And I love how Sydney is just not impressed by him. She's all like, you know what? She's all like, you know what? Slashers are fucking lame. And it's also a brilliant piece of foreshadowing because that's based. She talks about how it's annoying because the girls always run upstairs when they can just go out the front door. And what do you know? That's exactly what happens with this. It's great. She ends up getting the phone call, and then she gets all freaked out because he starts, saying some weird shit. And then we get an attack from a Ghostface, and he just seems kind of, seems a little sloppy for some reason.
Very.
I love how she, slams the door on him. She, runs up the stairs. She is not... I like how the people in this movie don't go down without a fight.
I know. I like that.
It's not like Halloween where it's like, oh!
Don't kill me! Like, fuck you!
I love it. She just, kicks him in the crotch. She, hits him in the head. Hits him with the door. He takes a lot of punishment from...
Yeah. I want to live. I want to do it this way, defending myself.
Yeah, I'm like...
I'm away like a bitch.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, yeah, Sydney, good for you. You're not going out like a bitch.
Yeah, respect.
Respect.
Thank you, Wes Craven.
She deserves to survive this film.
She does.
She ends up escaping, gets rattled, and then Billy just fucking shows up out of nowhere, which, this is the one thing I never got about this movie. I've thought about it over the years, and it's just one, and hey, if you've seen this far, and if you think I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments, the explanation, but I never got why Billy tried to implicate himself.
I never got that either.
Because, what we learn later, heavy foreshadowing. But, yeah. Never got that. Because he's all like, it's so obvious, too, because he's all like, "Oh, sorry to hear about it," and then it just bonk and it just drops on the ground. You're just like, okay, this dude obviously did it, or else he wouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
this man's hiding something.
He so didn't do it. He's so not making it very obvious.
No, it's very clumsy. Is I guess what bugs me about it.
Like, we know it's you.
Yeah. So he drops it, and they arrest him thinking he did it, and he's all like, "I didn't do it." But it turns out, conveniently, it was his dad's phone. It wasn't. Because Neil Prescott, I guess, disappeared, and they didn't tell Sydney about it. Plot holes aside. Plot holes aside. Sydney is, of course, spooked by Billy's antics, and just stops talking to him for a while. And to be honest with you, if I have a haircut like that, I'd probably stop talking to you too. I'm just saying. It's like, hey, bro, I love you, but you gotta just change the haircut a little.
I wouldn't even look at you.
Jesus. So, Sydney starts avoiding him, and that's where we get the scene. It's straight out of a high school film too, where they're like trying to be like, "Look, I didn't do it. I'm sorry. I didn't know what happened, even though clearly he's hiding something." Yeah. So, it turns out that Billy got released, and later at Tatum's house, Sydney got another ominous phone call anyway, so Billy is released. And the suspicion ends up shifting to Sydney's dad, because the ominous phone calls have been traced to his phone. So we end up seeing Stu and them hanging around, and Stu is just doing his little song and dance, and he's walking around, and he's fucking he's being Stu, which I love Matthew Lillard in this movie.
Me too.
He's so good. He's so good. I love him. Yeah. You know what? I won't comment too far. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Keep in mind, Brit. Don't want to get ahead of myself. So school ends up getting suspended because of this whole situation, which is fine. And who else could be the principal but the Fonz himself, Henry Winkler, is the principal. I love him in this. He's only in it for like 5 minutes, but oh my god, he is hilarious.
Those 5 minutes that he's in, golden.
Oh, he sucks up those 5 minutes. I love he puts on the mask and he just goes boo at himself. There's also a fun little in joke. He goes to talk to Fred, the weird custodian, played by Wes Craven, by the way, and he's dressed up as Freddy Krueger.
Wink, wink.
Oh yeah, bro. If this movie wasn't already winking hard at you, your eye would start to hurt with how much it's winking at you at this point. That's all I can say. That is all I can say right now. I love how he just he puts on the mask and he just starts he's trying to be scary, and it's makes it all the more sad when he gets killed by Ghostface pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was starting to like this guy. What did you just say? Eh?
No.
Yeah, I was just saying damn, that was kind of sucked, and you're just it's fine.
No. It's sucks being him.
Oh, that's terrible. But anyway, so yeah, Sydney. Or no, not Sydney. Let's see. So okay, so the killer ends up ambushing Mr. Hembry or Principal Hembry and kills him, and it's really sad. I laugh, but it's awful. And he just I love the shot. It goes to his eye socket, and he sees Ghostface just looming over him.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
I like that.
Well, not the murder, but the scene's very well done.
Yes.
So, on the meanwhile, Stu is just doing his thing, and he is going to throw a party to celebrate the school's closure. Gail ends up hearing about this, and she's like, I'm gonna go over there and see what's going on, because I want that scoop, man. I want all of it, you see, before those other idiots, before Linda Blair takes it. Oh, okay. So Gail goes with her cameraman, Kenny, played by W. Earl Brown. Now you might wonder, who's that? You might recognize him from The Last of Us. He played Bill. He's fantastic in that. This is probably his biggest movie aside from that. I enjoy him in this movie. Kenny is just like, he's just like that guy who just wants to chill out, have a beer, have a good time.
Yep, he's exactly that person.
And Gail is just like, I want that scoop, Kenny. Stop being an idiot. And he's all like, okay, sorry. And apparently Earl's wife was like joking with him about it. He's like, oh, you get this, your whole job this movie is to sit around and eat Cheetos. And he's like, yeah, I guess so. Always laughing, I think of that. I should mention, this is actually a really well-written movie.
It is extremely well-written, actually.
Yeah. I should mention that. Later on, we see Randy in the movie store, because, he works there. And, again, he's just hating on Billy. He's talking to him and Stu are cool, but he fucking hates Billy. And he's telling Stu, he's like, man, he's like, what a fucking dick. Like, can't believe, I don't know what Sydney sees in that guy, and you're like, yeah, well, what are you gonna do? And Stu's just kind of like, yeah, well, what are you gonna do? And then, Billy just pops up on him, and he's like, oh, shit. And this is where we get the famous, everyone's a suspect, thing. Because, he's the movie-savvy guy in this film.
Big time.
And the other ones. Yeah, I also love how Billy and Stu, harass him. I forget exactly what they say to him. But, it's basically, they harass him for a little bit, and I like how Stu's, almost trying to lick him. It's really weird.
Yeah, it's like, trying to lick me?
Yeah, no, and it's like, dude, I thought you and Randy were cool, Stu. But oh well.
That's wrong.
He's like, yeah, I guess not. So, yeah, they throw a party. And Tatum has her older brother, who is the deputy sheriff by the name of Dewey Riley, played by David Arquette. I know he was introduced earlier in the movie. I probably forgot some other scenes he was in. But I also really like him in this movie. What do you think of Dewey, Jacob?
I really like Dewey in this. David Arquette, personally, I have some thoughts. But in this movie, he's really good. I actually think.
You mean personally, or just his acting?
No, I don't like David Arquette in real life, but in movies, he's fine. But in this one, my favorite role of his is in the Scream films.
Yeah, I like how Dewey's almost this lovable goofball.
Yeah.
You're like,
That's what I
oh,
love
poor Dewey, he'll get one someday, he's basically the, he's kind of like the Andy Griffith type of guy.
He is.
Except, like, he's more like Don Knotts' character in the Andy Griffith Show, except he is in the wrong movie for that type of shenanigans.
Mm.
But, yeah, I really enjoy him in this movie. He's kind of the goofball of the group. Maybe not the group, but he's kind of a goofball. Like, he's the just uncool older brother. And he's just, like, trying his best not to, like, get, he's trying to protect everybody, basically. And he's trying to help the sheriff, who's played by the same guy who played the sheriff in Nightmare on Elm Street, by the way. I always think he's the guy from Animal House who plays the dean. He looks a lot like him.
He does.
I don't know if you've seen Animal House.
He looks like him quite a bit, but I haven't seen Animal House, but I know who you're talking about.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, he's been in some other movies. The Outlaw Josie Wales, and there's other ones I'm probably not mentioning. His name was, like, John Vernon or something. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. But I enjoyed this movie so far. What do you think, Jacob?
Oh, yeah, this movie's I'm really enjoying it so far.
Yeah.
Really great movie so far. And Dewey's one of my favorite characters in this movie.
Oh, yeah, Dewey's a lot of fun. And, they're just hanging out, and they're basically doing what teenagers do. They just drink and watch horror movies and have a good time. At least at first. So.
Yeah, at first.
Tatum ends up going out into the garage, and she gets cornered by the killer. Which is, I really like to see, because I like how she's all playful about it at first. She's like, oh, were you Mr. Psycho Killer? And he just shakes his head. They turn into a chase. He cuts her arm, and then he kills her by, like, crushing her in a garage, which just, whoa, talk about cruel and unusual death.
Yeah, brutal.
Even the killer's like, damn.
Damn, I'm the killer, and even I'm like, damn, that's cool.
So, I that also makes me think of, you've seen 30-second bunnies, right? Have you seen the Scream one they did?
Oh, God.
The guy just goes, ah! And under the garage, and then the bunny ghost face just waves at the camera. I love it. Oh, so good. Oh, man. My head hurts now. I've been laughing so much. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, I was I on a little side tangent. I was on Amazon Prime, and guess what was on there? The Fanatic.
Oh, jeez.
I was like, oh boy, good thing we already talked about that movie.
Yep, thank goodness.
Oh, that movie sucked. But we're gonna talk. We're talking about a good movie.
Yeah, we are.
So, so Tatum dies, and we end up seeing Billy show up at the party, and I love the kind of faux jump scare where he's like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" and you're like, "Ah, Jesus."
Yeah, I like that.
But not foreshadowing, which is definitely not foreshadowing at all. Anyway, so yeah. But yeah, I think this is a good part to talk about the climax of this movie. One of my favorite third acts of all time, I should mention.
Oh, yes.
So, let's get into it. So many of the party attendees are drawn away once Randy gets a phone call hearing about Hembry's death. I guess the killer hung him from the goalpost at their high school. And the teenagers, for whatever reason, I guess there's nothing better to do but to go and check out the body and celebrate his death. That's the one part where I'm like, huh. That's kind of fucked up. I don't know what you think, Jacob. It might be, in all honesty, it's probably more realistic than I'm giving them credit for.
It is realistic, but it's still fucked up.
Like, it's still fucked. You're just like, bro, this guy just died. I'm not just saying this because it's Henry Winkler. He fucking killed it for that 5 minutes, but still, that is horrible.
Jeez.
So, everyone leaves, and, so everyone ends up leaving, and everyone except for Sydney, Billy, Randy, Stu, Gail's cameraman, Kenny, who's hanging out in the van. On the meanwhile, David Arquette, or Dewey, and Gail get into some shenanigans. And this also reminds me of the Hishy parody of Scream, where they go, let's never, ever, 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 ever break up. Like, never, ever. And they're, like, sinking down. Do you remember that part?
Yeah, I do.
It's like, get the law enforcement who are awful at their jobs. There's also one of my other favorite parts where he's like, Mom, can I go to a party? I mean, can I go to Randy's house? And she's like, ha! Stupid child! You're not going anywhere with the masked killer on the loose. And he's all like, you never let me do anything.
Good stuff.
I love it. I love it. So Randy stays back and is watching Halloween, which is a classic of the genre. And I love how later on when Sydney runs back to Gail's van, they run. There's like cameras inside of the house. So, okay. To the third act of this movie. I love the third act of this movie. What about you, Jacob? What do you think of the third act of this movie?
One of the best third acts in slasher movie history.
Oh my god. Yes. I love it. So, let's get into it. Sydney and Billy make up after their little misunderstanding, if you want to call it that. And Sydney finally is like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking bang this greasy Johnny Depp lookalike. And they do it, and it's cool. And then suddenly Ghostface just breaks into the building, or breaks into the bedroom, and just fucking gores Billy in a totally convincing way. I have to say, just totally not faked at all.
Oh no, not at all.
Oh no,
you got me there.
Oh yeah, you really
actually killed Johnny Depp lookalike.
Oh my god, I know. I was so shocked. Well, at first,
damn.
I was like, "Damn, killer, you just murdered that guy," and he was accused of being you. That definitely takes him out of the suspect ring. I don't know about you, but I think he's totally innocent.
Oh, 100%.
But I think he's totally innocent.
He's so innocent.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself again.
I had to play along. It was fun.
I think it was better in Incredibles 2, but you know.
It was.
Yeah. Gotta retread the old jokes from time to time. But anyway,
so. Our new motto.
That's our new motto, yeah. Retread the old jokes. It'll get you somewhere. We'll put that on the merch. We really need to invest in that. But anyway. So, Sydney runs away while the killer kills Billy, air quotes. Sydney escapes from the house and tries to seek help from Kenny, but sadly the killer slashes his throat and kills him, so that sucks. Gale ends up taking the van and crashes it when the killer attacks. And Dewey decides to go into the house, because, he has a gun, he's a cop and all. But sadly, he's very incompetent at his job and gets stabbed in the back while investigating the house. Which, a little fun thing for hindsight, I do like how they implement that into the other movies, where he's not, his arm it doesn't work as well anymore.
Yeah.
Or he has, a limp because he, got stabbed in, some nerves, and it damaged the nerve. I like that. I think that's a nice little continuity thing.
It is. I like that.
His arm, in Scream 2, his arm doesn't work as well as it used to, because, he got stabbed in the back in those nerves, and it really messed it up.
Yeah. Ugh.
But I like how he, stumbles out, and he just, falls over, and the killer just, pops up and is like, oh, yeah, killed that guy. Okay. Love how casual the killer. We also get the iconic scene where Stu is just hanging out in the not Stu. Randy is watching the movie. He's like, dude, look behind you, and it's funny because there's the killer right behind him. Nice little in joke. And I like how it's tension. The tension. It's funny, but it's also very It's also very tense because the video is a couple minutes behind, or it's a minute behind. And then that's when he gets slashed. She just got called that. Slash. I like how the parody movie in the other films is called Stab.
I like that.
Because why not?
Stab.
Because why the hell not?
Yeah, why not?
We did it in our world. They can do it in theirs.
Exactly.
Oh, excuse me. So, Sidney ends up taking his gun, and I love when Randy shows up and he's limping around, and then Stu shows up, and I love how they're both just manically saying no, he's the killer, Sid, you gotta trust me. He's like, no, he's the fucking killer. They're pointing at each other. He's like, I just saw Stu, and then she's all fuck you both, and then she just walks in the house and god damn, it's cold-blooded, bro.
Sheesh.
So, she ends up finding Billy being wounded, but by the way, totally convincing how he stumbles over and just stumbles down the stairs, and she's like, "Oh my God, Billy!" It's yeah, okay.
Oh God, yeah, he had me fooled there for a minute.
And he's all "It's okay, just give me the gun." And it's bro, shouldn't you be bleeding? Shouldn't you be crawling around right now? It looked like you got gored right there. I'm just saying. Anyway, so, yeah. They let Randy inside, and I love this. She gives Billy the gun, and then he's like, Stu's flipped out! He's gone mad! And then he just turns around and just goes, we all go a little mad sometimes. And then he points the gun, and he's like, oh, what the fuck? And he gets shot. He's like, oh! Oh! Turns out, he's like, Anthony Perkins, psycho. And she, looks at him, and he ends up taking the, what we learn is fake blood. It's corn syrup. Which, by the way, they used in Carrie, in case you didn't know already. Still not as obnoxious as Scream 3, I promise.
No.
And then she gets spooked and ends up running into Stu, who looks kind of scared at first, but then he looks down and just says, surprise, Sidney. Turns out, Billy and Stu were the killers.
Dun, dun, dun.
If he didn't figure out by our loaded comments from earlier, yeah, they're the killers. Which I think actually makes the movie better when you watch it again, because just some of their weird behavior. I like how this movie makes you they're kind of weird, but then you kind of forget about it, and then it's like, oh, yeah, they seemed off enough to be killers.
Yeah. Initially, you're like, yeah, they're very weird, but yeah, they probably wouldn't do that when.
And then
when
it turns out
you're like, yeah, they probably did it.
And then it turns out they did it. You're like, oh yeah, okay.
Now I'm convinced that they're the killers.
I'm like, oh yeah, they killed them. That's fine. So they end up cornering Sydney, and I like how he goes, "What's the matter, Sydney? It looks like he's seen a ghost." And I'll admit I could probably quote a lot of this, but I won't do that for the show today. He ends up revealing that he and Stu actually murdered Sydney's mother and framed Cotton Weary for it. And I love how Stu just like comes behind him and just like wraps him up as if they're a couple. And he's like, he goes like, take a few notes, watch a few movies, take a few notes. It was fun. And she's all like, oh, like she's like, oh, where you going? And if you thought Stu was already just insane, oh my god, Matthew Lillard is amazing in this part of the movie.
Phenomenal.
I love how he goes from goofy to just scary in a few moments, and I love how he mixes both. Like, he's so goofy that it kind of disarms you, but you're like, oh yeah, this guy's a fucking nut job.
But when he switches from being goofy to just being straight up scary, it's like, oh god.
Yeah, like the goofiness makes it even more disturbing.
It really does.
And so he's like, oh yeah, we also forgot to mention earlier, Randy is explaining the rules of how to survive a horror movie, and he's like, oh yeah, you'll be right back. And he's all like, oh yeah, you want a beer? He's like, yeah, sure. I'll be right back. And everyone's like, oh shit. Yeah. So, they basically explain their master plan, which is that they're going to do the massacre, and they're going to frame the murder spree on her dad, who they took hostage, and they pulled out for good measure. So he's like, I'm going to stab you, and then I'm going to shoot him in the face, and then and then we're going to only survivors. And I love how Stu's just like, yeah, we're going to survive, baby, because these days, you gotta have a sequel. You're like, oh, Jesus Christ. This is just going off.
Exactly. Jesus Christ.
This is going off the rails. Not in a bad way, in a good way, but it's like, oh, jeez. I love, oh yeah, I forgot to mention earlier, or I did mention this earlier, but Gail was like flying around and crashed her car. And, so they're gonna stab each other to make it look like they got stabbed, and, Billy gets like mad and just starts like stabbing Stu, and Stu's just like, ah! And then Stu ends up stabbing Billy, and he's like, okay, you're gonna have to make it good. And he's like, okay, I'll make it good. He goes, and he stabs him. He's like, oh! Fuck, that hurt! And he's like, yeah, what do you think I'm feeling right now?
So funny.
Oh, it gets better. It gets better, Jacob. It gets better.
Oh, it does.
So then Gail shows up. I guess she found a gun somewhere, and they're like, oh shit. And they're like, I thought you killed her. He's like, I thought she was dead. He's all like, you said she was dead. And he's like, yeah, I thought she was. And then she's all like, yeah, I got you bastards now. Turns out though, she had the safety on. She had the safety on. Lady, when you're going to confront two sociopaths, make sure the gun is the safety off. Like, come on.
You should have thought of that before.
Yeah, I know. They're like, oh, no, safety's not on, and they just knock her out. And you're just like, oh, fuck me.
Well, that's on you, Gail, so.
She doesn't die,
Sorry.
but, you know, I'm sure they'll kill her later. But no worries, because Sydney escapes. And, Sydney escapes. And they're like, oh, shit, where's Sydney at? And he's all like, I don't know. You should have been watching her. And he's like, sorry, I got distracted. And I love Sydney ends up taking the voice recorder and the mask and all that, and then she ends up calling him. She's all like, are you alone in the house? And he's all like, bitch, where the fuck are you? And she's all like, not so fast. We're gonna play a little game. It's called Guess Who Just Called the Cops on You? And they're like, oh, fuck. So, he's all like, he passes the phone to Stu, and Stu just, like, picks it up, and he's all like, hello? And she's all like, Stu, what's your motive? Billy's got one. He's all like, peer pressure. I'm far too sensitive. Oh, God, I love this. It's just he's so casual about it. He's like, peer pressure. I'm far too sensitive. He's all like, I'm gonna rip you up, you bitch! Just like your fucking mother. He's like, you better find me, you pansy-ass mama's boy. He's like, don't fuck! He like throws the phone at him. And this was actually, fun fact, this was an ad-libbed line from Matthew Lillard where he was just like, you hit me with the phone, dick! And he's like ripping up the pillow. And he's just like ripping up pillows and throwing a tantrum in there. And he's all like, did you really call the cops? And she's all, you bet your sorry ass I did. And he's all like, my mom and dad are gonna be so mad at me. And he's all like, fuck. He's like tearing shit up. He's all like, okay, I guess I'll go find her. So, then he goes and like, goes around the corner. I love how he's distracted by the movie. He's all like, oh yeah, that's a classic. And then she comes out with the umbrella and just stabs him with it.
Good stuff.
He's like, he looks over, he's like, oh yeah, that's a classic. And then she just busts out and stabs him. And he's like, oh fuck.
Like, ugh.
Another great line is when he says, no, Sid, don't you blame the movies. Movies don't create psychos. Movies just make psychos more creative. And she just stabs Stu again, but that was earlier in the scene.
I love that woman.
And she ends up stabbing him, and then she takes the mask off. But sadly, Stu is still alive, by comparison. And they end up having a crash, and she like fights him, and he's always like, you know, I had a thing for you, Sid. And then she like knees him in the crotch, and then she's all like, in your dreams, which is like a great one-liner. And then she drops the television on his head.
Brutally killing him.
Oh. R.I.P. Stu. R.I.P. Stu. Probably in hell, but you know what? You were entertaining while you lasted.
Yeah, you were, but you were a sociopath, so...
Yeah, he's not a good guy, but, you know. I felt sad when he died. Is that weird?
No, he was entertaining as hell.
He was awesome. Like, he was really entertaining, you know? It's like, not a good person by any means, but... I was like, oh, man.
Shaggy wasn't the same after Scooby died. Clear on that.
Yeah, Shaggy really went off the deep end after Scooby died. Yeah, have you seen those jokes on the internet where they're like, oh man, Shaggy really went off after Scooby died?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. And then, like, she's, like, looking around, and then Randy just pops up, she's like, oh, shit, Randy, and he's like, oh, thank God. You know, I've never been so glad to be a virgin, because he mentioned earlier, don't have sex when you're in a horror movie. He's like, oh, I've never been so thankful being a virgin in my life, and then Billy just fucking socks him in the face. He goes like, fuck her, and then he's about to kill her, and he's all like, say hello to your mom, and then he goes, ah! Dramatic yell and stab, when he could just fucking stab her. You know, and then Gale finally managed to get the safety off and shoots him. And I love her line, had the safety off that time, you bastard. I'm like, okay, alright, Gale. And then they like look over at Billy's body, and then Randy's like, hold on, guys, this is where the killer pops up for one last scare. And then Billy, for some reason, he just decides, you know what? I might go out, but at least I'll get one last spook out of our friend. One who's armed with a pistol, by the way. He just goes, huh, and then she just shoots him in the face. You're like, okay.
All right, then.
What did you think was gonna happen, Billy?
Exactly.
It's like...
What did you expect?
Oh, why, he was just gonna knock you out? No, she's just gonna murder... I always feel weird when she just fucking murdered this guy. Now, yeah, don't get me wrong, had it coming, but she's all, like, super nonchalant about it. She's all like, that's my movie. She just fucking shoots him. I'm like, well, I bet that's gonna traumatize her for the rest of her life, but okay, that's... It's just... I get he killed her mom. She probably is not, like... She's probably like, fuck him, but still, she just murders him. She just shoots him in the face. Just shrugs it off. She, just shrugs it off. It's fine. Totally.
Yeah, you're all good.
And, but don't worry, though, because police end up arriving. Dewey gets taken to the ambulance, and Gail ends up making an impromptu report about the night's events. She looks all frazzled, and that is the end of not Scary. What the fuck? Scream. It's like Baby Driver all over again.
Oh, God.
I kept fucking up the names. Oh.
Hilarious, but yeah.
Oh, God. So, that was Scream. What'd you think, Jacob? What'd you think about this?
Scream. Classic.
Oh, my
One
God.
of the better slasher movies out there.
Oh, my God, yes. This might be one of the, like, my favorite slashers. Well, it might be my favorite slasher. Well, that and Halloween. Because I'm a big John Carpenter fan. As you know, Jacob.
And what?
What? I said, I'm a John Carpenter fan.
Oh, yeah. I thought you said, and Nope, Jacob. I'm like, what?
Oh. Though Nope is actually a pretty good movie. Not even pretty good. It was a very good movie.
Very good. But I was like, Nope's not a slasher. What are you talking about?
I wonder...
Yes.
I wonder when Jordan Peele's gonna make a slasher movie that just pokes fun at the fact that the black people always die first.
Oh, please. Jordan Peele, if you ever watch this, please make a slasher movie.
It's like...
Please. Poke fun at that.
It'd be fucking hilarious if you just made like a reverse slasher. They have the token white guy and he dies first, and all the black people survive to the end of the movie. Just like as a, yep, this is how we're gonna do it. And you guys are just gonna deal with it.
Then Jordan Peele, in an interview for his slash movie, says, now you know how we felt.
But yeah, so, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Billy killed, Sydney's mom because she was banging his dad and drove his mom away. So, there we go. Now that's all of Scream. I probably forgot some scenes because I haven't seen this movie in a little bit. But, that was fun. We should do this again sometime, Wes Craven, even though you're dead. Your movies still live on.
Oh, yes. Indeed. R.I.P.
Maybe you can make a R.I.P. Thumbnail like last time.
Yeah, actually, I can do that.
But, yeah, so Scream. One of the best slasher films, in my opinion. I know there's some people who might be like, what about Friday the 13th? Or Halloween?
It's not good!
Or Nightmare on Elm Street? Well, for one, Friday the 13th isn't even that good. Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween you could probably make an argument for. But Scream is a lot of fun. I have no shame in saying I love this movie.
Oh, I love it too. Not sorry.
I'm not sorry for loving this movie. The performances in this are great. I love Roger L. Jackson as the voice. Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich are fucking awesome in this. I love Matthew Lillard. I should state that right now. He is objectively the best part in this movie.
He is.
Nobody misses a beat in this movie. Everyone's really good.
Yep, every single person.
I love how this film pokes fun at the slasher while also fitting into many of the cliches of the genre, the subgenre.
Indeed.
And, yeah, I really love this movie. Also, the music is really good, too.
Oh, yes, the music's good.
By Marco Beltrami, who's done a lot of stuff like A Quiet Place. He did, I'm sorry, I'm blanking. He did Logan, which I would love to talk about at some point.
Hell yeah.
Let's see. What else has he done? Oh, he did all the Fear... Yeah, you know, I'll mention real quick. I actually saw the... Have you seen the Fear Street movies?
Oh, yes. All 3.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, really good, actually.
Solid trilogy.
I'm not like I said, not a fan of slashers, but I saw that because I like Sadie Sink from Stranger Things fame, and she was in the second one. I'm like, all right, like I'll give it a look-see, and really good actually.
Oh yes, I really enjoyed all of them.
He also did the Quiet Place movies, and your favorite movie, Jacob, Fant Four Stick.
Fuck you.
I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself.
That was way. That just crossed the line. You just crossed the line there.
You're like, fuck you, I'm leaving. I'm like, no, Jacob, no. Oh, Jesus. I'm just chilling here. But yeah, this was a good movie. He also did The Faculty, which is a very underrated film from the 90s. I don't know if you've ever seen The Faculty, but it is a very good movie. A lot of fun. Very much like this one. Never heard of it? Oh.
No, I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Oh, you've heard of it. I'm like, never heard of it. I'm surprised.
I still need to see it.
But yeah, so Scream. Good movie. And a great Halloween watch for anyone who hasn't gotten the mood to watch any Halloween type stuff. I think you'll dig Scream. It's a great one.
Yeah, go watch Scream. You'll have a good time with it.
So I guess we got some time. Jacob, have you seen anything of interest lately?
Quite a bit. I was rewatching Daredevil seasons 1 and 3. The entire series of Daredevil. Still the best portrayal of Daredevil. That's a fact. Charlie Cox, perfect as Daredevil.
What a great show. God, I'm still mad it got canceled. But I'm glad that they're bringing him back. So thank you, Feige and crew. They finally listened to the fans. Now bring everyone else back, because they were great too. Though Iron Fist, I'll take or leave.
Yeah. But everyone else, bring back.
I love the Daredevil show. Easily the best TV show Marvel made.
Oh, by far. And MCU, please bring John Bernthal back as the Punisher.
Oh my God, yes, please. That would be amazing.
One of my favorite scenes in season 2 is where him and Daredevil are on the rooftop and they're arguing.
When he makes him make the choice. Yeah, it's a great.
Yeah, it's like I love it because like you don't disagree with either one of them. You understand both their point of views.
Yeah, it's really great. I also love the graveyard scene when he's talking about what happened to his family. It's really powerful stuff.
Oh God, I love it. John Bernthal, perfect. He is the Punisher.
You know, in all honesty, I do like season 2 for the most part. I think it's a very good season. I just wish they stuck with the Punisher stuff, to be honest with you. I think they could have saved the hand for another season. Because there's definitely some stuff you could have done there, but I think that the hand could have been better handled. I think it should have just been a Punisher season, if you ask me.
Yeah, the hand stuff just, to me, it kind of felt forced in. If they just like stuck to the Punisher stuff, then it would have been another masterpiece.
Oh my God! And then season 3, good.
Just as good as season 1. If I might dare say it's better.
A masterpiece. Seasons 1 and 3 are masterpieces. 2 is just really good, but 1 and 3 are just phenomenal.
Oh, masterpieces.
Oh my god. Just, I love the hero just gets torn down type of story, and oh my god, Daredevil Season 3 is probably the best I have ever seen of that.
Oh, I fucking love it.
Like, he just gets beaten down, and then he just comes right back. It shows why Daredevil's awesome. And that final confrontation, oh, so good. So
God,
good.
I love it.
Oh my god, he just gives that freaking yell. Oh, it's so good. It's beyond comprehension.
Charlie Cox is a fucking phenomenal actor.
Oh my god, yeah, he's so good as Daredevil. Even Carlton loves it, and Carlton is like iffy on the MCU for the most part.
I just do not want them to fuck up Daredevil Born Again. Please do not.
I'm just hoping they keep.
Beg you.
Just like, look, you got a great thing, seasons 1 to 3 of the Daredevil show. Just keep that tone, and you'll be fine. Like, you can make whatever story you want, just keep that tone and story, you'll be fine.
Yeah, don't make a joke where someone throws something on Daredevil's, on the back of Daredevil's head. He's like, oh, I guess I didn't see that coming. Nothing like that.
No, God, please don't do anything like that. Ugh. Though him and She-Hulk wasn't too bad. I actually only watched that episode.
Me too.
Because I'm like, I don't really care about the rest of this. I just want to see Daredevil. And I was not disappointed.
No. What do you think about his yellow and red suit, though?
I did text Carlton. I'm like, well, they did keep his sluttiness from the comics, so that's good.
Yeah, because he's one of the biggest man-whores in comics.
Oh my god. Carlton was like, so who do you think gets more pussy fired at him? Daredevil or Spider-Man? I'm like, dude, it's Daredevil. It's not even close.
Yeah, like you Catholic, but you still get pussy before marriage.
That dude gets coochie fired at him. Like, I'm not even kidding. It's not even fair. Like, probably the blindness. It's probably the blindness.
Yeah.
No
sympathy.
Offense. But I'm just saying.
Yeah,
that's
probably
terrible.
Sympathy.
But, but yeah, my only real sidestep with the Daredevil show, even as masterful as it is, hand stuff. I think that could have been a whole season on its own. Because it's almost like they were trying to fit 2 seasons into one. I'm like, you don't have to do that. You could make another season that's about the hand, and you could really get a good season out of that.
Yes, because the way you did in season 2 just felt very forced. You could have just stuck with the Punisher stuff, and you would have gotten another masterpiece.
Oh my god, you would have gotten a fucking amazing season out of that. But
season 2 is the aliens of Daredevil.
Yeah, exactly. Very good, not as great as the first one. And then 3 is just...
Ooh.
Oh, yes. Give me more of that. And then Marvel's like... And then Netflix is like, fuck you guys, we're gonna cancel it.
Yeah, thanks, Netflix.
Fucking assholes. I hate them. Hate them all for canceling it. And now we just have to hope that they keep the tone and hopefully get the writers back from the original Daredevil show, and we'll be doing we'll be on a good track.
Yes. Please do not fuck this up, MCU.
Like I said, I've been trying to take a break from Marvel, and I've been doing a pretty good job at it. But Werewolf by Night, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, it's Halloween. I'll check it out. And really good. I really enjoyed it. Have you seen Werewolf by Night?
I have.
Oh, it was fantastic, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, and I didn't really care to check it out when I first saw the trailer, but then I heard Michael Giacchino directed it, and I'm like, oh, that gets me intrigued. Then I watched it, I'm like, holy shit, this is fantastic.
I know, I'm like, I want to see more of the monster universe in this. Like, more of this, please.
I want to see more. I want to see Giacchino direct more.
Yeah, I know. It was fantastic. It was really good.
I was genuinely surprised by it.
I know. I was not expecting much, but I wouldn't say I was blown away. Or, well, yes, I was blown away by how good it was, and the humor felt more natural, and it wasn't super, what do you call it? I have a love-hate relationship with the humor of Marvel, There's some of it that's great, and there's some of it that just isn't. But I like how this show kind of was like, you know what? We're going to take it a little more seriously. We're going to try and do a new style. And I think it has succeeded. Michael Giacchino is actually a really good director.
He is. Not only is he a great composer, but he's also a really good director.
I can't wait to see more of this, of the MonsterVerse in Marvel. It made me excited to see it.
Me too.
Also makes me intrigued for Blade, even though Blade is kind of in a identity crisis at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Carlton's all like, I bet I could make a better Blade movie. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you could. But, well...
Yeah.
You know, I actually think delaying it's a good thing because, you know, you don't want to fuck it up and put it out too early because, you know, we remember how well that went with the Justice League. Yeah. Is about right for that. God, I hate that movie. But, yeah, Werewolf by Night was fantastic. Like, I wanted to see more of that.
Yes, give me more.
Oh, man. That's another one I'd love to talk about at some point, even though it's only, like, an episode length, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, there's not much to talk about, but it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed watching it.
It was, but...
Probably one of my favorite things of 2022.
Oh, mine too. But with She-Hulk, I only watched the first episode, then the Daredevil episode.
I only watched the Daredevil episode. I'm like, fuck the rest of this. I'm watching the Daredevil stuff. That's what I came for.
I want to see Charlie Cox as Daredevil. Fuck the She-Hulk twerking shit. God.
No.
I don't want to see that. Give me Daredevil.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care about that, but it's like, you know what? I'll take without seeing that. And plus, I'm trying to take a break from Marvel anyway. But the Daredevil episode was actually pretty good.
It was.
They're all like,
didn't fuck up the character.
They're all like, oh, they made him too jokey. I'm like, bro, the first like line he says is Matt is a joke about how long they've been lawyers.
The thing that people forgot is that Daredevil has always been witty in the comics. Like when he says,
he's not humorless. He's angsty, but he's not humorless. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, he can be witty sometimes. Like when he says to She-Hulk, my ass remains unwhooped. Like, yeah, that was funny.
I also like they riff from the great fight scene in season 2, and she just busts in. She's like, "Ha! We're even," something like that. I'm like,
She-Hulk smash.
I'm like, oh yeah, she says She-Hulk smash. I'm like, okay. I would have loved to see another, you know, epic Daredevil fight like we've seen in the other show, but you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. The action was very slick in that episode.
I expected something like that to happen. So.
Though Marvel, don't fuck up the action for Daredevil. The action is one of the reasons we came to that show.
The hallway fight.
Oh my god! One of the greatest. The Old Boy. It's basically the Old Boy hallway fight, but with like Daredevil, and it is so freaking good. And the prison fight it's a close second. Close second. Like, oh god. We need to have like a Daredevil thing and get Carlton on, and it's just gonna be just us gushing about how great it is.
Oh yes. Bring Jake talk about TV show. I don't care. Yeah, I want to talk about Daredevil.
Though I will admit that again, I wish they had just made the Hand into another season.
Yeah, instead of just forcing it in season 2.
I think it would have been a lot better. And I do like the Defenders. I think it did. I'm like, why didn't you just do that in the first place? Just make it into another season, then build to the Defenders, then get to season 3 of Daredevil, and then bam, there you go. You got a good thing going. But that is not what happened. All honesty, though I will say the Elektra stuff was way better than it was in the 2003 movie, which we will not speak of too much.
I don't call it a Daredevil movie. I call it an early 2000s music video.
Oh my god. It's basically someone read like one Daredevil comic and was like, alright, let's see if we can make a movie out of this. And just completely missed the point of everything about the character. Except from like the most on the surface level. It's so bad. Though I like Jon Favreau as Foggy. I think he was a great Foggy.
Really funny. Yeah, I liked him. But
The rest of it? Nah.
I like Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention him. He was phenomenal. And he looked the part. Like, I don't care if he's black. Like, I don't give a shit if he was black. Like, he was great as the Kingpin. Really.
Honestly, right behind Vincent D'Onofrio.
I was about to say, just right behind Vincent D'Onofrio, Michael Clark Duncan, he was not bad as Kingpin. He was very good.
Not exaggerating. He was perfect. Him and Vincent D'Onofrio.
I pronounce it D'Onofrio.
Yeah, D'Onofrio. I have a hard time pronouncing his last name.
It's alright. I will admit, I was a little let down by his appearance in Hawkeye. I mean, I liked Hawkeye. I thought it was a lot of fun. But, he, like, tears the door off. And he's, like... there's, like, some nonsensical stuff they do with him. Like, he, like, tears the door off of Vera Farmiga's, like, car. And he's like, hello, we have an arrangement. You're like, what the fuck are you doing? Though, I gotta love the drip. I love his Hawaiian shirt, though. That is some drip if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, classic Kingpin look. I love that.
I love it. It's just like, yep, that's some classic Kingpin drip right there. Oh. Can't wait to see him and Charlie again, because they just... amazing casting as those characters.
And have Daredevil and Spider-Man team up to stop the Kingpin.
Oh my god! That should be Spider-Man 4. I'm just saying right now. That would be a great Spider-Man 4, if they do make it in the MCU.
Then have Tombstone as another villain, please.
Oh my god. And get a good actor to play him, please. That would be nice.
Because Tombstone is one of the most underrated Spider-Man villains.
I remember him from the old cartoon from back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not great. He is great in Spectacular Spider-Man, though, except he's basically the Kingpin.
And in Marvel Spider-Man, the PS4 game.
Oh, yeah, it was...
probably my favorite portrayal of Tombstone.
Yeah, I like he's a motorcycle guy. It's a lot of fun. He just has a superpower.
Mm-hmm.
Though
I like that.
We are getting Spider-Man 2, the video game, and Wolverine. I'm like, oh my god, they're spoiling me. These are, like, two of my favorite Marvel characters.
Yeah, I'm overwhelmed. And Insomniac doing Wolverine? Fuck yeah.
Oh my god, could you do Daredevil next? Please.
Please, give me a good Daredevil game. We already got a great Daredevil series. Give us a great Daredevil game.
Oh my god, please. Please, do it. Awesome. Make it, like, bro, just make it as insanely awesome as possible. Like, get the hand, and, like, the hand makes, like, a deal with Kingpin, and they're trying to take down Daredevil, make, like, this epic thing. Please do it, because I will play that shit on I will play that shit on day one.
Day one, I'll buy it.
I'm not kidding.
Pre-order that shit.
I will pre-order it, and I will buy it, and I'm gonna play the shit out of it. But I know you're busy with Wolverine and Spider-Man 2, so I don't want to rush you. But I'm just saying, please make a Daredevil game. I would really appreciate it.
Yes, we all will. We all would appreciate it.
Though I'm curious how they get around I'm curious on how they get around the blindness.
Yeah, that's the part I'm like curious about.
Though
because the Daredevil 2003 movie, yeah, it's that, but I do like how they handle like his blindness. Like every time a noise happens, it's like he can still kind of see, but he is blind. So I like how they did it in the movie, but I'm curious to see how they would handle it in the game.
I was about to say, I love it even more in the show. You almost forget he's blind all the time. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh shit. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's blind. Because he coordinates himself so well. You're just like, oh yeah, it's interesting.
Oh yeah. I mean, like Charlie Cox is like so freaking good in the role that I'm like, I genuinely like, I'm always surprised every time, like, his accent.
Yeah, I know. You're like, oh my, oh, he's English?
I'm like, oh, you're not blind?
Oh, you're British? Oh, whoops.
And you're not blind? Oh, whoops.
Apparently he blew another role because he was so used to playing Daredevil, he was like staring past because his eyes weren't focused.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. What else have you seen recently, Jacob?
Oh, I also get another thing out of the way about Charlie Cox. I mean, he was so good in the role that even the blind community gave him an award for his performance.
Oh, that's actually really nice.
So that's saying a lot. But other than rewatching Daredevil, I haven't really watched anything else.
I'll admit, another one of my favorite scenes is when he talks to Claire. He says, you know, because he mentions how he sees the world. It's like the world's on fire. I love how he's like, you know, I've grown peace with the blindness, but man, what I'd give to see the sunlight one last time. And you're like,
I love that line.
it's like, god damn, that is so fucking good.
Oh, that's why that's Daredevil right there.
I'm like, oh my god, it's so fucking good.
That's why I love Daredevil.
That's why I love the show. There's so many great moments like that. Like again, like I mentioned, the graveyard scene with him and Punisher. Oh my god.
Oh, it's so good.
I'm still kind of. I'm not gonna die on the. I'm like, this is a hill I would die on. It should have just been the Punisher for season 2.
Yeah, it would have been another masterpiece.
It would have been It would have been a much more concise season.
Yes.
It would have been much more concise, and it would have been much more focused. Maybe build up to like a Hand season, and then make the Hand into a whole nother season. Would have been great. But you know, again, not dissing on season 2. Season 2 is still very strong.
Oh yeah, it's another great season, but 1 and 3 masterpieces.
Oh my gosh, yes. But, yeah. I have seen some stuff. I saw The Wolf of Snow Hollow the other day. Another werewolf movie, I know. And, really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It also was like, I've described it to some friends as Fargo meets werewolves. It's basically small town sheriff scrambles to find what's going on with these, like, animal maulings or something like that. Very good movie. And it also, like, combines a lot of elements that really surprised me. I've been trying to do, like, a spoopathon as well as reading, but watching movies. But, again, I've just been really lazy recently. So, sorry, guys.
I wish we didn't have little time, because I love doing spoopathon.
But yeah, so that's really all I can talk about right now. So, yeah. Scream. Great movie.
Great slasher, yes.
Great slasher. And we're going to be doing another double feature tomorrow, which I should upload by Sunday. But yeah, you know, Jacob, you've been teasing me about this for the past, like, week or so. What movie have you chosen for this, for tomorrow, I should say?
Yeah, my choice for tomorrow is actually another Wes Craven movie, A Nightmare on Elm Street, with our unofficial third member coming on.
Oh, man, I knew you were going to bring... I'm like, I wanted to get Carlton in here somewhere. But, alright, Nightmare on Elm Street? Alright, I'll have to look it up again, because it's been a long time since I saw it last.
I need to rewatch it.
I'm just saying, I have not seen this in a long time, but I do enjoy Nightmare on Elm Street quite a bit. But yeah, so that was Scream, and we're gonna be doing Nightmare on Elm Street tomorrow, so that should be fun. Wait, have you talked to Carlton about it?
Yeah.
All right, good. I'm like, all right, good.
I asked him, and he's like, oh, we're doing Freddy, aren't we? And he's like, you guessed right. And I said, you guessed right. And he's like, fuck yeah, I'm down.
All right, I expected that, but yeah. So yeah, that's basically it for an episode. I mean, I could gush about Daredevil some more, but maybe we could do some more gushing about Daredevil tomorrow. I don't know, but anyway, I've been Britton,
and I've been Jacob,
and we do it for the love of the movies.
Yes, we do.
All right, goodbye, everyone.